this episode, we are celebrating G.I. Joe July by introducing a new segment called G.I. Joe Mobilized. So, stick around. Hello, fellow dorks and dorkettes, and welcome to It Came From My Side of the Laundry Room. My name is Rob, and we are celebrating G.I. Joe July by introducing a new segment to the show called G.I. Joe Mobilized. What Mobilized is a look at my G.I. Joe vehicles scattered all across the laundry room. The aim of this segment is to kind of be a little bit of Fistful of Joes and a little bit of nostalgia syndrome as we take a look at the origins of the toy and the origins of the vehicle that it's based on. Mix those together, take a look at the driver, if it has one, and hopefully we have the recipe for what I hope is an entertaining show. So without further ado, let's take a look at the vehicle that I have chosen for the inaugural episode of Mobilized. The Slugger, released in 1984. Okay, here is the Slugger from 1984. And let's start our first chapter. What is it? The Slugger, which is a self-propelled cannon, was released in the third wave of the G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero toy line. It came packaged with the figure Thunder. The Slugger without driver was also available in 1987 to 1991 as a mail-in offer. The 1991 version, though, did not have the camo design that you see here. There was also a Toys R Us exclusive that sold in 1997 with a desert camo paint design. It also included a repainted Gung Ho, which was his sixth version, and he was included as the driver. So before we go any further, let's take a look at the original commercial that aired in 1984.
Cobra Rattler, it's the wickedest weapon yet, you know. Rattler's gonna get G.I. Joe.
Introducing the Cobra Rattler.
Check my missiles! Rattler's gonna stop Joe!
G.I.
A
Joe, real American
It's
hero.
Rattlers!
G.I. Joe's there.
Cobra! We're outnumbered! That belongs! No, Joe!
Cobra Rattler comes with pilot. Other G.I. Joe and Cobra figures and equipment sold separately from Hasbro.
Now, the second chapter of Mobilized is something that I was very curious about. I always wanted to know if there were real-world counterparts to these G.I. Joe vehicles. Now, some of them you can say without a shadow of a doubt that there were not. But for something like this, what was it really based on? Now, is it real? Based on the fully mobile four-wheel drive Slugger howitzer, there were conflicting sizes of the cannon. The two listed sizes that I found in two different publications are either the 170mm or the 175mm. In both cases, they are very much real. Now, just a quick history. We'll start with the 170mm. Its origins began in Germany in 1944, but never made it past the blueprint stage until the Cold War, when North Korea resumed the project using captured parts from World War II that were supplied by Russia. Now fast forward to 1987. Several were supplied to Iran during the Iran-Iraq War. Now, the M107 175mm self-propelled gun was used by the U.S. Army and the U.S. Marine Corps from early 1960s to the late 1970s. Its combat history was very limited, though, to just the Vietnam War. But they also saw extensive combat use in the Israeli service. Now, I feel that the 175mm is probably the correct size due to its US military history. So I'm going to say that the facts that I saw for the 175mm are probably the correct ones. Now here are the specs for the real M107 175mm self-propelled gun that was used by the US Army and US Marine Corps. Now compare these stats to the ones that were printed in the Order of Battle comic book. They're very similar, so whoever did the research for the Order of Battle kind of knew what they were talking about. So anyway, that was just a quick history of the real Slugger. Now is the part of Mobilized where we take a look at what's under the hood. And what that means is we will take a look at what play features and accessories the vehicle came with. Now, the Slugger, one of the most popular accessories that it came with was its removable 30 cal quick sequence machine gun. And we'll take a look at that up close here. I mean, it has really good detail. This one's a little chewed up, and don't mind the paint. Barrel's a little warped, but I'm so happy that the Slugger that I was able to get had one. Now, another play feature that seems to also be pretty popular is this hatch. And this is where the driver, Thunder, would sit to pilot. Now, look at the detail of the molding inside that. Other than that, it's pretty cavernous in there. It looks like right there's an ammo box or something, and here's some controls. And yeah, I mean, look at the little sticker residue there. I mean, that's what, 40 years old now? Also, it had these white spots on it. I've been trying to get them off, but I don't want to injure the Slugger itself, so I haven't tried too much. Now anyway, of course, its main distinguishing feature is its long-barreled howitzer cannon, and it's movable. One of the things as a kid that I really loved was how you have these holes knocked out here. And I know that probably has some real life application, but I don't know it. Also, I was lucky enough to have this when I was a kid. I remember quite vividly getting it at Montgomery Ward's, and I love this thing. Now, my little plastic screw here broke, and my dad used a, what are they, brass paper brad down in there and bent it, so it was still usable, just a little different. Anyway, the next thing, and it also falls in one of the most easily lost accessories, is this engine cover. Look at the detail of the engine. That's pretty awesome. You see the fans there. And I apologize for the dust and these little white spots. Like I said, I'll one day try a little bit more, with a little bit more gusto, to get those off. I'm just worried of scratching or, adding some abrasions to the Slugger. Now, let's see here. We also have 6 wheels. Now, a lot of the real life counterparts that I've seen were treaded. So I like that they went with 6 wheels. As a kid, I mean, that's so unique. to have 6 wheels on your rolling toy. Now, the last thing I used my imagination with so much as a kid, and it's this. It's a pull-down bumper stabilizer. So, you know, you would put this down and it would dig in, that when he would fire this huge howitzer, it would just boom, that you're not flying back like that. But when I was a kid, I didn't really understand that. So I thought, oh look, he has a bulldozer. So you could back up and boop, 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 push dirt in the holes and things like that. Now, it also has a trailer hitch here, which you gotta love a lot of the original vehicles did, because they had some really awesome tow-behind artillery and accessories. And, you know, we will definitely take a look at those in the future and, you know, play with it with some of the trailer hitches. I mean, even the Battle Bear came with a trailer hitch, and that's a snowmobile. But anyway, I mean, all in all, it's very basic, but very awesome. I mean, the inclusion of the stabilizer, the hatch that can be slid back and forth, and the 30 cal machine gun, super awesome. So with that, let's take a look at who's behind the wheel. Now we will take a look at who is behind the wheel, and that is Thunder. What an awesome name. Anyway, Thunder originally came with his helmet, headset, visor, and monocular, which is that single-lensed binocular thing. Now, it's very stiff, which as a kid I always used to just put it up to his eye, which I'll show you in a minute. Now, let's take a closer look at Thunder. But before we begin, full disclosure. When I received Thunder and the Slugger as a gift from my buddy Michael, he was missing the visor. Now, that didn't bug me, it's a gift, and I was so elated to have the Slugger and Thunder back in my collection. But while I was getting ready for this episode, I thought maybe I should take a look online for one. I had no idea how much they would cost or how readily available they would be. But before I even did that, I found kind of a good replacement. Now, I don't know whose visor it was originally, and it might bite me in the butt later, but I just had to paint it black. Now, it's not perfect, but it's close enough. It makes me happy, at least. So, there's that. I mean, it looks pretty darn good, if I say so myself. So, like I said, we had the stiff monocular here, but I always used to just put it up to his eye and it would kind of lock in place. Now, I'm doing this one-handed at the moment because I have a puppy in the other hand. So, let me see if she will behave a moment and sit on my lap. She isn't. If that was any indication, she is not being good, and she's growling at me as we speak. Anyway, let's take this off. Put it up here. But I would just kind of put it like that. Like Mad Eye Moody or something. So you'd peep out Cobra like that. But, I mean, what a great face sculpt that is. Now, Hasbro is notorious for turning their employees into Joe characters. I wonder if this was somebody because of how much detail they actually put into the face. But let's take a look at his uniform. He's got like an awesome flak jacket, pistol, I guess just a little catch-all here, maybe clips, but a great brown shirt. And he's a little loosey-goosey. Let's take him off the stand here. But as you can see, he has a broken crotch. I was actually going to try to sculpt it before doing this, but I thought I would wait. Just in case I messed it up, I didn't want to advertise how bad of a job I did. But, I mean, look at the detail here on the belt. Got the buckle, even the loops of his pants. I mean, they would go all out on these sculpts. The pants got these stitching, got the cargo pockets. I wonder what the stitching means. I don't think I've ever seen pants like that with such big stitches. But he has his brown boots. I mean, he's a very simplistic character that falls right in line with the original Green Shirt Joes from '82, if you really think about it. But that simplicity just makes him super awesome. So, yeah, I'm super happy with this character. I mean, the Slugger is a great vehicle, and Thunder is a great character to go along with it. Okay, back to me. I hope you enjoyed the first episode of G.I. Joe Mobilized. To be fair, this is kind of a work in progress. I have no idea when I sat down how it was going to go. Of course, I took a whole page of different notes of what I wanted to talk about and things I wanted to interject and add to the video, but actually sitting here and doing it, it's a little bit different. So the road may be a little rocky, but I'm hoping it's smooth sailing for the future. And speaking of the future, of course I have a limited amount of vehicles. But if I do this monthly or every other month, it should continue for a little while. And of course the downside of that, or upside depending on how you want to look at it, I'm sure it will give me the bug where I need to buy more vehicles. So, who knows? I would love to get more. I just don't really have the space. At this moment, every vehicle I have is displayed one way, shape, or form, and I don't see where I can add more to that without taking some of my other stuff away. And who wants to do that? Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. If you got something to say, please leave a comment. I love reading them, and I love getting back to everybody. And if you're new around here and you enjoyed this, or any of the episodes that YouTube is recommending down here, please hit subscribe. And if you hit that little bell icon, you will be notified whenever there's a new episode. So anyway, until next time, thanks for watching. Keep being rad, and stay dorky.